You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin. The text came through at 11:43 p.m. I was half asleep on the couch, TV still on, volume low. It was from my buddy Kyle. You might want to come to Mulligan's. Your wife's here, not alone. I stared at the screen for a second. My stomach turned. Kyle wasn't the dramatic type. He wouldn't send that unless it meant something. I sat up, heart thudding, eyes burning from the sudden jolt of adrenaline. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? I texted back. What do you mean not alone? He replied instantly, with some guy. Real cozy. Been here an hour. Looks off. My first instinct was denial. I wanted to believe Kyle was seeing things wrong. Maybe she was with a coworker. Maybe they were just talking. But something in me, it cracked. I felt that weird hollowness you get right before bad news punches you in the gut. Samantha and I used to hit that bar together all the time. Tuesday night happy hours. Pool on Fridays. I'd walk in and her face would light up. That was back when things were easy, before the distance started creeping in, before the silence over dinner. I grabbed my keys, didn't even put on socks, just slipped into my sneakers, threw on a hoodie, and left. The air outside was thick and hot, late summer humidity clinging to my skin as I drove. My hands gripped the wheel tight. I kept telling myself not to jump to conclusions, that I'd get there and it'd be nothing. Mulligan's was 5 minutes from our place. I pulled into the lot and parked in the back. As I walked toward the entrance, I slowed down, heart pounding. I told myself I could just peek in, stay calm, just look. I stepped inside, and the noise hit me. Laughter, glasses clinking, music pulsing low. Took a second for my eyes to adjust. And there she was, Samantha, sitting at the bar, leaning in toward some guy I didn't recognize. Mid-30s maybe, tall, smug smile. Her hand was on his arm. They were laughing, like really laughing, the way she used to laugh with me. His hand brushed her leg under the bar. I froze. My feet didn't move. My throat felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and snapped a photo. One picture, just enough to remember exactly how it looked. Not to argue, not to question, just proof. I backed out before they saw me, got in my car, drove off with my chest burning and hands numb. I didn't even cry. There was no going back now. The smell of burnt toast drifted from the toaster. I sat at the kitchen table, elbows resting on the edge, staring at the cold coffee in front of me. I hadn't touched it. The silence in the apartment felt louder than usual. Sunlight poured in through the blinds, cutting across the floor like stripes on a prison wall. Her footsteps padded down the hall. She walked in barefoot, her hair pulled back, wearing that oversized gray t-shirt she always slept in. Same one I used to think she looked cute in. She didn't even look at me, just went straight to the counter. Morning, she mumbled, grabbing a mug from the cabinet like it was any other day. She poured herself coffee, added that vanilla crap she liked, and stirred it with her spoon clinking against the cup. I didn't say anything, just reached for my phone, unlocked it, and slid it across the table. She picked it up without hesitation. Looked at the photo, just one glance. Then she slowly set the phone down and took a sip of her coffee like it was nothing. You spying on me now? She asked, tone flat, not even pretending to be surprised. My jaw clenched. I wasn't looking to catch you. I was looking for the truth. She let out a short laugh. No guilt, just annoyance. God, this again. You're being dramatic. That hit harder than anything she could have admitted. She wasn't denying it. She just didn't care. You don't even try to explain? I asked, voice low, steady. Not even going to lie about it? She looked at me like I was the one wasting her time. What do you want me to say? That it meant something? That I'm sorry? I don't owe you that. I felt my chest tighten, not from sadness, rage, but I didn't let it show. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. I just stared at her, holding it all back. She leaned on the counter, arms crossed, calm as ever. You don't own me. You never did. That was it. No tears, no apology, no regret. Just a line drawn in the sand. I stood up, chair scraping against the tile, didn't say a word, didn't touch the coffee, just grabbed my keys off the hook and walked out the door. My vision was sharp, like everything had suddenly clicked into focus. Every step out of that apartment felt heavier than the last. Not because I still loved her, but because I didn't recognize her anymore. She didn't chase after me, didn't call out. That silence followed me to the parking lot, wrapped around my chest like a weight. I sat in the car for a few minutes, gripping the steering wheel, the photo still burned into my brain. Not just the image, but the way she looked at it, like it didn't matter. That's when I knew. She was already gone. I didn't go far. Just pulled into the grocery store parking lot down the road and sat there, engine off, windows cracked. I watched people come and go, pushing carts, living normal lives. I wasn't part of that world anymore, not with what I'd just walked away from. After 10 minutes, I turned the key and headed straight to the bank. The lady behind the counter gave me the usual fake smile. "How can I help you today?" "I need to transfer funds," I said, sliding over my ID, "from my joint account to my personal one." She nodded and pulled up the info. "Any specific amount?" "All of it," I said flat. "Everything I put in." She blinked. "Are you closing the joint account?" "Not yet, but I'm done sharing it." It took about 30 minutes. I kept checking the door, half expecting Samantha to come storming in. She didn't. Once the transfer cleared, I left with a balance that was mine and only mine. It wasn't about revenge. It was about control. If she was done pretending, I could stop pretending too. Next stop, the electric company, then water, then internet. I called each one, gave them my name, and told them to take me off the bills. I didn't even use her name. I just said, "She'll handle the rest." By early afternoon, I was back at the apartment. The place felt colder, quieter. I didn't hear her inside, so I assumed she'd gone out. Maybe back to that guy, whatever. I grabbed a pen and paper from the drawer and jotted down the landlord's number, took a breath, then called. "Hey, this is Eric from Unit 3B, I said when he picked up. "Hey Eric, everything okay?" "Yeah, just wanted to give you a heads up. I'll be moving out at the end of the month." There was a pause. "You and Samantha both, or just me?" "Nothing wrong with the place. I just need a change." He didn't press. "All right, just let me know the date. I'll stop by to check the unit once it's empty." "Appreciate it." I hung up and stood there for a second, the phone still in my hand. It was happening. I wasn't just walking away. I was cutting every tie, quietly, cleanly. I grabbed a duffel bag from the closet and started packing. Clothes, important documents, my passport, my laptop. I didn't touch anything that wasn't mine. Left the photo frames, the mugs we bought together, the blanket she always curled up with on the couch. That stuff could stay. I didn't want pieces of a life that didn't exist anymore. In the bedroom, I opened my dresser and saw a note she'd left months ago. Just a dumb sticky note that said, "Love you, have a good day." I stared at it for a second, then peeled it off and tossed it in the trash. Around 5, I sat on the edge of the bed, sweating from moving around all afternoon. The place already looked emptier. Not abandoned, just stripped of anything that felt like me. I ordered a pizza, ate it straight from the box, then tossed the rest. No appetite, just needed something in my stomach so I wouldn't pass out. As the sun started going down, I went room to room one last time, double-checking everything I needed. There were no second thoughts, no hesitation, just a quiet numbness that settled in my chest and wouldn't let go. This was it. I was done waiting for her to change. I woke up before the sun. Didn't need an alarm. My mind had been racing all night. I'd barely slept. Just laid there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the sky to turn gray. I got up without making a sound. Didn't flip on any lights, just moved through the apartment in the dark, muscle memory guiding me. My duffel bag was still by the door, zipped and ready. I grabbed it, then checked the closet for anything I might have missed. Jacket, shoes, my old gym bag with the backup charger and paperwork inside. That was it. No second sweep, no lingering. The bedroom door was cracked. I could hear her breathing, slow and steady, still asleep, still unaware. I stood there for maybe half a second, just listening. Not because I wanted to see her, but because I wanted the last thing I ever heard from that room to be silence. I turned away and left. The stairs creaked as I went down, but I didn't care. My car was already packed with everything I owned that mattered. I didn't even look back at the building, just got in and drove. The apartment I'd lined up was across town. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with a busted screen door and linoleum floors. But it was clean, quiet, mine. I signed the lease with a guy named Roger, who barely looked up from his paperwork. gave him first and last month's rent, got my key, and carried my stuff in without help. No couch, no TV, no kitchen table, just the basics. It felt like a reset button. After I dropped the last bag by the bedroom door, I sat down on the floor with my back against the wall. Sunlight streamed in through the cheap blinds, cutting across the room like clean lines in a blank notebook. No memories here, no arguments in the kitchen, no lies buried in the sheets, just space. I pulled out my phone. 23 messages, 8 missed calls. The first one was from 2 hours ago. Where are you? Then another. Did you take your stuff? And another. Eric, what is this? I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the delete button. Then I went into settings and shut the whole thing off. Let her wonder. Let her sit in it. By noon, I made a sandwich, drank a bottle of water, and sat on the floor again. The place didn't have much, but it felt better than anything we'd built together. I didn't have to tiptoe. I didn't have to guess what version of her I was going to get that day. I was gone, and she didn't even hear the door close. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was earned. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't trying to fix anything. I wasn't clinging to a version of her that didn't exist anymore. By now, she'd probably torn through every room in the apartment, checking for signs I'd left. Maybe she was pacing. Maybe she was pissed. Maybe she was crying. I didn't care. That was her mess to deal with. She was always good at pretending things weren't her fault. Always twisting things until I was the one apologizing. Not this time. This time, she could sit with the silence and try to piece it all together on her own. I wasn't coming back. The sun was going down by the time I turned my phone back on. It lit up instantly. Calls, texts, voicemail. The desperation hadn't taken long to kick in. I didn't touch the messages, just played the first voicemail and held the phone to my ear, bracing for whatever version of her came through. Her voice snapped through the speaker. So, what the hell is this? Are you seriously ghosting me like a teenager? Is this your big tantrum? Grow up, Eric. A pause. Then she added, quieter, sharper. Or is this just your way of punishing me? I laughed, not loud, just one of those dry, bitter laughs that catches in your throat. Punishing her? She really thought this was about revenge, like I left to make a point instead of survive. She still didn't get it. I deleted the voicemail and tossed the phone back on the counter. By morning, the text had a different tone. She wasn't confused anymore. She was pissed. The kind of pissed that comes from losing control. Where the hell are you? You made your point. Now come home. You can't just disappear like this. We need to talk. Now I read them while brushing my teeth, then set the phone down and didn't respond. Let her sit in it. Every message sounded like a command, like I owed her something. But she still hadn't asked the right question. Not once had she said, "Are you okay?" Not once had she asked why I left, just how fast I was going to come back. That silence I left behind, it was loud now. It was screaming in her face, and I wanted her to hear every second of it. She thought I'd be the same guy, angry for a day, quiet the next, then crawling back the way I always did. But that guy was gone. She'd killed him off with that smug laugh at the kitchen table. I made a sandwich, turned on the TV, and let her messages pile up. Every buzz, every ping, just another reminder that she couldn't handle not being in control. But I wasn't doing this for her attention. I was doing it to remind myself I could still walk away, and I wasn't turning around. By the second day, the texts stopped sounding angry and started sounding confused. Eric, seriously, this is getting out of hand. Can you just tell me what this is? You're being ridiculous. I didn't answer. I watched every message roll in while I sat on the floor, eating cereal out of the box. I'd scroll through them like they were spam emails, one after another. No weight, no sting, just noise. That night, she left another voicemail. Her voice was softer this time, tired, like she'd worn herself out trying to be furious and now had nowhere else to go. Okay, I don't know what kind of game this is, but it's not funny anymore. You've made your point. Whatever it is, just come talk to me. Still no apology, still no accountability. Just her pretending like I had overreacted. By the third day, the calls doubled, mid-morning, then again around lunch. Then late at night when I figured she was lying in her bed alone, wondering what the hell she'd done. I went for a walk around the block that evening. No music, no distractions, just the sound of my own footsteps and the hum of crickets in the trees. I passed a couple sitting on their porch, drinking beers, laughing like nothing could touch them. I didn't feel envy. I felt peace, like I was finally outside the loop I'd been stuck in for years. Back at the apartment, my phone lit up with 3 missed calls, all from her. I let it ring out every time. By the 4th day, she stopped pretending to be calm. "Why are you doing this to me? Do you even care how this looks? This is so childish. At least be a man and tell me to my face if it's over." I read that last one twice. Not because it hit hard, but because it made me laugh. It was over. The second she looked at that photo and didn't even blink, it was done. I didn't need to spell it out for her. She just didn't like the way it ended, without her calling the shots. That evening, I watched a movie and made spaghetti. Her texts came through while I ate, one after another, a constant stream of typing, sending, typing again. Like she was trying to fill the void with volume. She still didn't get it. She wasn't missing me. She was missing the version of her life that made her feel stable. I was the one who cooked dinner, paid bills on time, picked up the slack when she wanted space. She didn't want me back. She wanted the structure I gave her back, and I wasn't offering that anymore. By the 5th day, the cracks started showing. Her messages got shorter, more emotional. "I messed up, okay? Can we please talk? I don't know what to do." That was the closest she came to an apology. Not, "I'm sorry," just, "I messed up," like she'd dropped a glass on the floor or forgot to take out the trash. I didn't reply. Let her feel it. Let her wake up every morning and check her phone, hoping I'd finally throw her a lifeline. I wasn't playing her game anymore. I wasn't the fixer. I wasn't the calm one holding the thread together while she unraveled. I was the guy who finally cut the damn cord. By that night, she'd sent 17 texts, 5 voicemails, 2 emails. I powered off the phone again and sat in the quiet. No buzzes, no alerts, just silence. Exactly what she gave me every time I needed her to care. By day 7, the messages weren't even sentences anymore. "Seriously? Answer. Fine. You win." That one made me laugh out loud, like it was a game, like I'd pulled off some big dramatic checkmate just to mess with her. She still thought this was about her. The text slowed after that. Calls came less often. She was probably embarrassed, maybe hoping I'd break the silence so she could flip it back on me. I didn't. I went to work. I worked out. I bought a cheap coffee table off Craigslist and built it in my living room while listening to music I liked. No more arguing over the playlist. No more biting my tongue. Then my phone rang. Not her this time. It was Jason, one of our mutual friends. We weren't close, but we'd hung out enough times. Cookouts, football games, New Year's parties. "Hey man, sorry to bug you," he said after I picked up. "You got a minute?" "Yeah," I said, knowing what was coming. He cleared his throat. "Look, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but Samantha's not doing great." I leaned against the counter. "What does that mean exactly?" He hesitated. "She's just not herself. She's not eating much. She looks rough. Keeps asking people if they've seen you. Just thought you should know." I let the silence hang for a second. Then I said, "Not my problem." Jason didn't argue. "Fair enough. Just figured I'd let you know." We hung up, and I put my phone down, more sure than ever. I wasn't her lifeline anymore. Whatever spark she thought she had with that guy at the bar must have burned out quick. I hadn't heard anything about him since that night. She probably thought he'd fill the gap, but that's the thing about people like her. They don't want love, they want comfort. She missed the things I gave her, not who I was, the meals, the calm, the steady paycheck, the silence I carried when she needed to scream at someone who wouldn't fight back. A week without those things, and she started falling apart. That wasn't heartbreak, that was dependency. I didn't feel guilty, I didn't feel pity, I felt clean. Days passed with nothing, no new messages, no calls, just quiet. It was strange at first, like when your ears ring after being in a loud room for too long. But then it started to feel good, peaceful, like I could finally breathe again without someone waiting to cut off the air. A month later, I realized something. I hadn't thought about her at all that day. I'd gotten up, gone to work, made dinner, watched a movie, and she hadn't crossed my mind once. That was freedom, not just physical distance, but emotional detachment. No more questioning if I did the right thing. No more looking over my shoulder. She was gone, and I didn't miss her. It was just after 8 when the knock came. I was on the couch, flipping through channels without really watching. I froze mid-click. Didn't need to check the peephole. I already knew. Samantha. I stood there for a second, remote still in my hand, heartbeat picking up. Then I got up, walked over, and opened the door. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Hair tied back, dark circles under her eyes, makeup smudged, or maybe not there at all. She wore a wrinkled hoodie and jeans, nothing like the woman who used to obsess over her reflection before stepping outside. But it wasn't just how she looked, it was how she stood, small, deflated. Not the usual arms-crossed, chin-up version of her that used to stare me down like I owed her something. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. I waited. She cleared her throat, eyes darting behind me into the apartment, like she needed to see if someone else was there. Then finally, barely above a whisper, she said, "Can we talk?" I didn't move, didn't answer, just let the silence wrap around us. She shifted her weight, looking down at the floor. "Please." Still, I said nothing. She took a shaky breath. I miss you." It didn't land the way she thought it would. I didn't feel anything twist inside me. No pull, no ache, just the same cold clarity I'd been living in for weeks. I looked her dead in the eye. "Number. You miss the way I made your life easier." She blinked, like she hadn't expected that. "That's not fair." "Yeah, it is." She stepped forward, barely an inch, like that might change something. "You were just gone. No warning. You didn't even say goodbye." "I didn't owe you a goodbye," I said flat. "You made your choice at that bar. I just followed through." "I wasn't—" She stopped herself, jaw tightening. "I didn't think you'd actually leave." That made me laugh, quiet and sharp. "You thought I'd keep eating your lies and paying your bills?" Her eyes welled up. She looked away, embarrassed or maybe just caught. "I was stupid," she said, voice cracking. "I know I messed up." "You didn't mess up," I said. "You made a choice. You thought I'd always be there after you did." She shook her head, biting her lip. "I wasn't thinking clearly." "No," I said, stepping closer to the doorway. "You were thinking clearly. You just didn't think I'd finally be done." She stood there, tears finally falling, not sobbing, just breaking, quietly. I let it sit. She looked back at me like there was still something she hadn't said. Something that might fix this. But it wasn't coming. "You should go," I said. She flinched like she expected something else. Like part of her still believed this could flip. "I don't know who you are anymore," I added. "And you're definitely not the woman I married." Her shoulders dropped. She nodded once, slow, broken, and turned around. I watched her walk down the steps, arms wrapped around herself like the wind was colder than it really was. I didn't call after her. Didn't shut the door until she reached her car. When I did, the lock clicked louder than usual. It sounded like closure, like a final nail in something that needed to stay buried. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt lighter. A week after she showed up, the texts started again. Long ones this time, poured out like guilt on autopilot. "I can't stop thinking about us. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone. Please, just talk to me." I didn't reply. Didn't even read half of them. It was all the same recycled emotion. Regret dressed up like love. Too little. Way too late. I left my phone on silent and kept living. Work was steady. I was sleeping through the night again. I'd even started running in the mornings. No more tiptoeing around moods. No more feeling like I had to earn peace. One afternoon, I ran into Jason again. Same guy who'd called me a month back. He was grabbing a coffee at the gas station while I was filling up. He nodded when he saw me. "Hey man, you look good." I shrugged. "Feel good." He sipped his coffee. "Just so you know, she's still a mess." I raised an eyebrow. "Still?" "Yeah. She keeps telling people she messed everything up. Says she didn't know how bad it really was till you left." He paused. "Says she regrets everything." I looked at him, let that sit for a second, then said, "She regrets losing comfort. Not me." Jason didn't argue. We said a quick goodbye, and I drove off without thinking twice about it. Her regret wasn't my responsibility. Not anymore. She had her shot. She threw it away for a moment of attention and thought I'd just stand there waiting. Thought I'd cave when she cried. She never expected to lose. But she did. A few days after that, the calls stopped. No more buzzing phone. No more voicemails clogging my inbox, just silence. This time, it didn't feel cold, it felt earned. She was finally gone. And for the first time in years, so was the weight.